What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in today, episode 8, King's Mentality.
Joined by none other than Luke Thompson, you know.
And Amber Henson. What's up, y'all?
Uh,
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's good to be back. Definitely good to be back.
Absolutely, we missed you guys.
Yes, for sure. Today we're talking about things you wish you knew 5 years ago. Things you wish you knew 5 years ago. And I think it's a good talking point to kind of backtrack and understand our growth as individuals and kind of have a conversation with ourselves to where if we just saw ourselves as younger individuals, what would we say to ourselves?
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
definitely an interesting one. Even in the sense of like, a lot of people as they older, they try and make that whole, oh yeah, if I was to go back, I don't think I would change anything. Like I think if a lot of people had the opportunity, they go back.
yeah,
I can change a lot of things. So be an interesting one.
Yep. So I'm gonna just go ahead and kick it off. My three really quickly. First one is trust your gut. I know a lot of times, not from necessarily doubt, but just overthinking. I don't trust myself and I don't trust my intuitions. So I would say just trust your gut. You know what you need to do. You put yourself in a position. So just go with your first thoughts and trust your thoughts. Because some of the ideas I came up with or some of the initiatives I came out with really would have been a lot more successful if I would have just trusted my gut. So I think that's my first one.
What did you think stopped you from trusting your gut?
Um, Honestly, I have a thing where I try to perfect everything. Like try to bring everything to perfection. Even with this a little bit, because
Yeah.
when we first started,
Amber, we know. Joke.
now even with this when we first started, like I know you said, man, let's just get it out. Let's just put it out there. Don't have to worry about like the quality so far. And
Right.
we got the attraction that we needed. So for me, I try to perfect everything instead of just doing it.
Yeah, that's me too. I think there are so many things that I wish I would have just jumped into instead of saying, okay, instead of trying to lay out the entire plan before I even got started. Just looking back on some ideas I've had a few years ago. Now someone else is doing it. I'm like, man, I had the idea and I had the whole plan, but it wasn't perfect. So I didn't have that trust in myself to just jump in and do it. So I feel that right there.
And I think that's like been a very interesting thing that, especially like with the way the world is kind of moving, it's actually being pushed a lot more, which is really good to be seeing. Like people, like all of these, big influencers and these people that have these really big brands and followings are encouraging, people to just go out there and do it. If they're going to fail, like, hey, at least you can say you tried type of energy. So I think like from that standpoint, like the fact that, people are embracing these types of moves is definitely like a shift in the right direction for sure. Just like that kind of natural, in the moment, instinctive kind of mindset, which again, like we're not really taught that. We're taught to again, be programs. So, once we go through that kind of phase of like, okay, now I actually have to unprogram myself and relearn a different way. Like I think society is doing a much better job of at least trying to take that approach.
No, for sure. And that kind of segues into my second one. As far as like you said, the influencers just doing it. Like my second was I worry about stuff a lot. So just let all the stuff go. Because a lot of times it's stuff that you worry about, it doesn't even come into fruition. And if it does, it's not even as bad as you think it's going to be. So that's pretty much my second one.
My man Dev said, let it go like Frozen. Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
just let it go. Just let it flow.
Hey, y'all don't want to get me out there soon.
Yeah,
Because
just let it flow.
Most stuff you worry about now is not going to matter in 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 years. And that kind of goes along with one of mine, and I'll get to it when I get to it. But I like that one.
Yeah. And my last one is just allow yourself to be great. Step into the man that you're supposed to be. Step into the life that you're supposed to. Or I'm sorry, I apologize. or women, I apologize.
Hello. Why she was so quick with it? She was just like she said, before you said it.
I'm sorry. Step into the man or woman that you're supposed to be, and just like live your full life. Allow yourself to be great. Again, trust your gut. Don't worry about it, and just be you. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think the biggest thing holding you back from being great, besides not trusting your gut and thinking too much? Is fear, or what is it?
Honestly, the situations and I guess mindset I had growing up, right? Trying to keep those certain connections, certain friendships, or like think a certain way instead of stepping into the person that you're supposed to be. So you don't want to feel like you don't fit in anymore, right? Like I can't be on that same level with y'all anymore. You still want to be the person that you were a year ago, 2 years ago, but honestly, you hold yourself back, and that's why I kind of came up with that one. Like, just allow yourself to be great.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like even with that, like a lot of it is sacrifice as well in the same sense, because you know, like especially when those kind of just people who are really different from society, a lot of the times like they're sacrificing friendships. You know, sometimes like the hardest thing to do is to say, you know what, like you say, like go in the sense of, okay, like I really have this in my mind, this is what I want to do. So, you know, to do that, I might have to, you know, go and spend six months away from my family or cut some friends off that, you know, aren't on the same wave anymore. It definitely takes a lot of sacrifice to do that type of thing.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's like focus. I get really excited about a lot of different things, and then I can't like really decide which direction I want to go. So for me, I think that's how allow yourself to be great resonates with me. It's just like pick something and do it really well, and not let my ADD get the best of me.
Let me kind of dive into that a little bit more, because that's really interesting. Because like I had gone through that mindset of there's so many things that you could do in the world. How do you narrow it down to the one thing that what people say you're supposed to do for the rest of your life? So how were you able to make that transition and having that mindset of, oh, I could do this, I could do this, to say, you know what, let me kind of start here?
Yeah, so that actually goes into my first one, what I wish I knew or would have told myself, or wish someone would have told me more emphatically 5 years ago, is to be where your feet are. Like, when I say focus, it's not necessarily like pick one thing you're going to do for the rest of your life, but just wherever you are in the moment you are, be great in that moment without thinking too far to the next thing, because you distract yourself when you're thinking too far ahead. If you're thinking, okay, obviously it's always good to have a long-term plan, but if you're too busy thinking about your 10-year plan, you're going to miss out on all the like love and greatness and, you know, good stuff that's going on right here where your feet are. So that's one of my big ones, is just be where your feet are. You can plan your next move, but when you're here, and let's see, where was I 5 years ago? I was a senior in college, and I was probably really ready to graduate, and now I'm like, oh, I miss it so much. So just, be present where you are.
I guess how did you overcome it looking too far then?
I think, so this is really corny, and I might have talked about this before, but I have a calendar, and every day on the calendar, on the box, I write something I'm grateful for. Like, in this moment, in this day, what am I grateful for today? And I think that spirit of gratefulness is really what keeps you where you are. Because a lot of us wanting more and wanting to do more is like, oh yeah, I have a good job, but I want a better one. So being able to like verbalize and write down what you're grateful for kind of helps you get in the habit of being where you are and being thankful for what you have right now. So it's really corny. I actually do write on the calendar every day just so I can see it.
Hey, okay, doing whatever works. No judgments on here.
Nah, it's kind of crazy. It was your first point, because I went hiking today, and it's literally a mirror of life. Like you're working hard, you're sweating, you're getting up top to the mountain, and then once you get there, you're looking back like, okay, I did it. Yeah, like I did it. It feels good. You feel the breeze on the top of the mountains.
It is. It's so instinctive. Like I'm on top of the world, man. Like,
that's what it felt like. Like literally, I'm on top of the world. So.
Yeah, and then I guess my second one is to look at money as a tool rather than just specifically a goal. And when I got out of college, I was like, I'll make some money, then I'm going to go, whatever job going to pay me more money and more and more and more. Instead of looking like, okay, what do I want out of life and how can I use money to get that? So focusing more on like a more general, what do I want, than kind of like chasing a check. Because, you know, once you're in consulting a while and you get to know your clients, they'll offer you jobs and they'll like throw money in your face. But then you think about it as like, is that really the lifestyle I want, or is this the company I want to work for? So just being intentional about like how I view money and how I let money guide my career. So
yeah, because you can become a slave to the money.
Exactly.
But that again, that becomes the toughest. The toughest one is like, especially when these big corporations are offering you big money and they're giving you, all of these little perks that you think you need, which you don't really need, but you get told that you need it because that's the lifestyle and that's the way it's supposed to be. When you get all of a sudden you become dependent on it, how you're able to segue and kind of break off from that type of lifestyle and mentality even more so.
And it's not even the money, like you said, it's more so the lifestyle.
Right.
We work, then we go to happy hour, then we go eat at an expensive restaurant.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like
definitely not anymore.
Consulting is going to be a hard sell to people coming out of school because half the allure is like you get to travel and you get to like go out to eat at nice restaurants. Now it's just like, no, you're just working really long hours. Have fun.
At home all the time.
Exactly.
That's gonna we're gonna turn that one into an episode, like the evolution of working in the office to working from home.
Yes.
We can talk about that one. That's interesting.
I heard something they said working from home to living at work.
Oof.
Like
hello.
Exactly.
Hello.
Literally from the time I wake up, I open my laptop to about 8:00 and close it.
Yes. So exactly. And it's gotten a little bit better, but there was a period of like 2 months where I was like, why is there meetings on my calendar for 7:30 p.m.? Why is it 9 and I'm still working? Why is my client calling me at, like dinner time? This is over the top. So I'm glad that's toned down a little bit, but yeah.
Interesting. See, I was on the other side of that where, like working in finance in the industry where it's so much, you're in the office, and that's what you're supposed to be. It's kind of changed in the sense that like now everyone's realizing they can do their job from home, and it's like they have no desire to go into the office.
I do want to go back to the office a little bit though.
Yeah.
Just get out.
I just miss Friday.
Yeah, just get out of the house at least once a week. Like put some clothes on, feel good about myself.
Yeah.
This past Friday, I put some clothes on. I put a shirt on. I still had sweatpants on, but like waist up. I was like, oh, she going to work.
Okay, on the Teams calls, looking good.
Yep, I had some Zoom calls, some team calls, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna turn my video on today. They always asking us to turn our video on today. I'm gonna do it. But anyways, my last one. I'm gonna hand it off to you. So my last one is: if it won't matter in 5 years, don't let it anger you or stress you out. Sometimes I feel my blood boils sometimes in the moment when things are happening, and I've just had to learn to take a step back and just say, okay, I know this is stressing me out right now, but is this really gonna matter next week? I think some of the most regrettable mistakes I've made in my life were out of like anger and reacting to things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. So just, control your stress or your anger or your emotions a little bit better.
Okay. Right. What would you think the reason was is to you kind of having that mindset of maybe holding things for a little bit longer than you needed to?
I think it goes back to being a perfectionist and wanting everything to go according to plan, like whether it's at work or whether it's just my general personal life. Like I'm a person who, if I say, oh, let's go to dinner at 7, like if you show up at 7:45, like it's going to upset me. So I get, yeah. I'm just one of those. So I've been working on
Make sure you're on enough, man. Make sure you're on time for dinner.
You're on time. I've seen it firsthand.
No, you have not.
No, I'm playing.
All right, so I'll transition. Excuse me. I'll transition into kind of things that I guess I wish I knew, 5 years ago, or if I was looking back and able to make changes. Things I wish I knew. Failing was definitely, I think, programmed into my subconscious to the point where it wasn't the like imagine if I win. My thought process was kind of like, oh, like you can't lose, or like what happens if you do this and you fail and everyone sees you fail. And I think that a lot of that was society and definitely the way that you're kind of taught in that sense. But I think once I was able to kind of get to the point where once I kind of adapted that mindset, it was kind of like, wow, like, imagine if I'd have known this type of, or had this type of thinking when I was, 15, 14, like would have completely changed, my perspective on life for sure. So that's one thing, you know, that I'm happy people are talking about. We mentioned it a little earlier, just people being able to be comfortable making mistakes, whatever they may be. And you know, that's not to be going out here thinking recklessly and like, oh, I made a mistake, guys. You know, I'm learning.
Back to YOLO.
Yeah.
2000,
Let's not
whatever.
use that as a crutch, but like, you know, it's holding yourself to that. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's holding yourself to that standard of perfection. You know, maybe understanding that you'll never be able to attain like specific perfection, but like you're trying, and if you fail, you fail, but you tried. You know, achieving perfection at least.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the first point that I've got.
Yeah. Let me touch on that a little bit, bro. Honestly, just kind of going back, just failing forward. Like you fail, but you still learn from it. You adapt from it, and you take the, I guess, failure and use it as learning experience for the next time. So it's failing forward.
Yeah, no, for sure. Forward thinking, like it's more like a half, you know, half full instead of half empty type of mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of the second point that I wanted to touch on, like something I wish I would have known, you know, 5 years or so ago. Just be more open. Like, as a kid, man, like I was so kind of standoffish about certain things. What you
I
say?
say you were bougie. You were just a little bougie. That's all.
Oh wow! Thank you for calling me. Excuse me.
Mr. Hamptons.
Wow! No, I went to Hampton. Whoa! Look at that. But no, just having that open mindset of like trying a bunch of different stuff. Whether that was, you know, sports, or whether that was reading, or whether that was, you know, things that my parents had thrown at me, ideas. And then, you know, like 3-4 years, I'm like, wow, imagine if I'd have done that. Like,
what's the one thing
so
that
I think, like, definitely.
I was gonna say, what's the one thing that you tried now that you wish you would have tried sooner? That you're like, whoa, this is different. I wish I would have done this a long time ago.
Understanding that it's okay to be wrong. Like, real talk. Like, when I tell you, I used to get in like arguments, and I was like, "Yo, I know I'm wrong, but I'm gonna continue to argue with you anyway." just because I was definitely like such a closed off mentality of kind of approaching things like that. It's like, yo, I had to take the realization of, you know what, like you're actually blocking like a lot of information just because you don't want to accept that you know everything. And then having that understanding of you're 24 years old, like what do you know? What do I like? You know what I mean? So like, we're
literally still babies.
Yeah, man.
I know.
Don't feel like it, but hey.
I'm saying like the grand scheme of things, like as far as knowledge goes, as far as experience goes, like we're still very young, like still learning a lot.
We are, and we feel like we got it all figured out, but we do not.
Yeah, but again, on the other side of that, like those 24-year-olds that have experienced, like, you know, again it can come down to perception. Like there's 24-year-olds that could have experienced the whole world. You can be young, but you can still have a lot of wisdom and life sense for sure.
Yeah. So what's one thing you wanna do? Like you said, be more open. What's one thing you wanna try?
Skydiving.
Skydiving. Yeah, me too.
Skydive.
My little brother just went 2 weekends ago. I was sick. Yeah, I want to go too.
Now I tell you what, though, I would not do bungee jumping. Bungee jumping is a no. Bungee jumping don't sound fun to me. But skydive, I can.
I mean, like.
What's the difference?
The difference.
Okay.
You're dependent on like some kind of cord or string.
Yeah, or exactly. I'm not banging with no cord, but bouncing up and down.
That's the same with skydiving, though.
Okay.
Well, y'all have fun. I enjoy things. So, I think, at least for me, trying new things. I wasn't a super outdoorsy person. If I look back, probably 10 years ago, like I like to go to the beach. But now I'm like always outside. I love hiking.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I wouldn't go so far as skydiving, but just outdoors in general.
That's it.
I like
skydiving's
it.
More on the extreme front.
Yeah, I have fun with it.
All right. So we kind of taught to always look for approval. You know, who says that that's kind of the right way to approach things? So I think a lot of the things that I did when I was younger was down to me caring about what other people think. I would act in a certain way because I cared how other people perceived me, which felt like the flip side of that was too overwhelming from the standpoint of, you know, whether it was a lot of peer pressure from your friends or just people around you, especially in school, whether it was that aspect or what it is you think of yourself and what it is they think of you, to really allow you to, again, just grow and become a better person. So that's definitely something I wish that I would have known earlier on in life, for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's so hard for, I feel for kids growing up these days because there are so many different voices that they can choose to listen to.
Right.
Us growing up, we had a lot of voices. We had our friends, our parents, our teachers, maybe coaches, things like that.
Yeah.
But these kids growing up today have the entire internet, the entire YouTube, social media. Like there are so many different voices that they can cling on to. And that just makes that so much more harder, you know, seeking that approval. It's like, well, there's so many people out there that, you know, are telling me how to be and how to do things.
Yeah.
But I think it can get really difficult sometimes. So.
That's a great example. Like, who would have thought that the gamer Ninja, who would have thought that playing video games could turn you into a multi-millionaire? How are you going to tell your kid to get off the video games? Hey, mom, I just made $1 million. Oh, okay. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, we're in such an age where you're allowed to have an opinion, a thought process, and think differently, and it's definitely refreshing. But in that way, in opening up kind of that segue of thinking, a question that I have for you guys is: do you think that knowing what you know now at an earlier age, one, would that have made you the same person? And two, what could have been some of the negatives of knowing too much at an early age? Like, a lot of things we're introduced at the right time, and it works out for us, you know, but a lot of the times when you see, especially with kids, when they get introduced to things very early on, that can be have such a negative effect on their life. So do you think that maybe there's a definite, I guess, an aspect of knowing too much at an early age?
Yeah, and I think more specifically when you talk about like kids getting exposed to things that their minds just aren't ready to handle, or they don't have someone to talk them through it,
right.
It can turn dangerous or toxic for that kid because they're interpreting it with their kid mind who has only seen so much, so they only know how to interpret things certain ways. So in that case, I think there is a little bit of like knowing too much, but taking the good lessons is always good. I'd say if I, you know, knew what I knew now, I would have invested a little differently. I would have
got some Bitcoin.
You know, right. Got some Bitcoin, doubled down on this whole Twitch esports video game industry because that is crazy. But yeah, so I do agree that too much information too early can be. And then I also think like all the things that we said are things that people have told us. Like it's not like this is new information, but people learn best from experience, and you can tell somebody the sky is blue 1 million times, but if they've never seen a blue sky, then like how much are they going to absorb and believe that? So I think a lot of this, what we're talking about is like, I'm pretty sure our parents have told us all of these things before, so it's not new information, but it's like, oh, we believe it now because we've gone through it and maybe did it wrong a few times.
Okay, so know who you were 5 years ago. If you were to tell yourself, do y'all think y'all would actually listen? Or do you think you'll kind of brush it off?
I can't listen to myself. Actually, let's not say that. Let's not say we all.
I'm saying because like your parents tell you things, like your teachers tell you things, other people tell you things for influence. So it's like, what makes you think that you're just going to automatically listen?
Yeah. I guess it's the type of information that you're getting though. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you go through life as a kid and you have those questions, a lot of the times those questions just remain questions because they don't get answered. So I think if though you're asking those questions as a kid and you're able, and then all of a sudden you get the answer to the question, then it's now, okay, now I know the answer to the question. I really have no excuse. Like, I think for a lot of us, like Amber touched on, we had to experience it. But I guess that what if we got the information in an experience type form?
Yeah, if we somehow could do some weird Jedi mind trick to tell ourselves.
Come on, you see Luke? You see Luke? Yes. Jedi tricks.
But I would listen to myself to answer your question.
In conclusion.
I don't know. I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn. I might think
Oh,
something's going on. If y'all could, I guess, describe your life in the last year, in the last 5 years, in one word, what would it be?
Amber, would you like to go first?
I'm just trying to think of a better one. Okay,
I know, right?
I'm just gonna go with mine then. I would say on track. Like, I feel like there's obviously so much more I can accomplish.
Yeah,
2 words.
that is 2 words.
Okay, well, y'all go and you can come back to me since y'all be ready.
I'll start it up.
Hey, yeah.
I'll say change.
Wow.
Change. Okay. I have to, yo. We gotta hold each other accountable.
Okay, what about, we holding each other accountable? Did you talk to the
Oh yeah. Energy.
Yes, I did. Okay,
Did you
great.
get plugged
Let's
in?
go. Talk to me.
What
So,
are you doing? What have you done?
can we no touch. So I had sat down with the head of a church for the West Harlem district, the director of the AAU, a political. What's her name?
He making stuff up. He making stuff up.
Wow, you guys are really calling me out on making stuff up.
Hey, it's okay, bro.
Do you want to see the text? Do you want to see the text?
Nope. You got it,
Okay.
bro. You got it.
Okay. Well, anyway, nothing came of it. Nothing came of it. So.
Okay.
But I tried.
Well, you're gonna have to try again.
Thanks.
Wherever you land.
I'll try again when you're done trying again with that one word. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
We still didn't count
All right. Whatever.
it today, but it's all right. It's a Sunday.
I'm gonna Google one real quick.
All right. So, Deb, what was the one you said? You said change?
Yeah, I was just saying change, bro. Because in the last year, moving to a different city, I guess a whole new profession, corporate America, no more basketball, new friend groups, like literally everything is changing. So that's my one word, change. Because it's good because it's putting me in a space I've never been in. Mm-hmm. I've been growing at a rate I've never grown before. So that's good. But it's been an experience, that's for sure.
Mine would be insightful. I think just life has become just really insightful in the sense that my eyes have been opened a lot. So you kind of just understanding and seeing what the world has to offer you if you really wanna go out there and take it. I think that's something that is I've definitely adopted and bought into of recent for sure. Just kind of knowing what it is and what you're capable of, and kind of like you said, kind of stepping into that best version of yourself can really open doors for you if you have a look at things on kind of a global scale. So definitely, it's become very insightful over the last couple of years.
And y'all gonna be mad because this is basic, but I'm gonna say growth. All
right, talk about it.
Hey,
all that time you thought I had something good.
Yeah, I thought you had something different.
You thought. But I would just say, obviously it's a very generic word, but I've grown in so many ways, especially this past year with everything going on and having to readjust my mindset and what I want in life and how I respond to things. Definitely growth.
Okay.
Sorry, I couldn't give y'all more, but it was
okay. That's all it's about. That's all it's about is growing. So
day by day, you gotta take it day by day.
Nope.
Things you wish you knew. Boy, all these big companies, man, was gonna be big time billion-dollar companies. I've gone back in time, boy.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
exactly.
Okay, really quick.
Facebook,
what
Amazon. Whole thing.
What I did is, do you wish that you knew? You said about Amazon. Okay. What did I do?
So going back to trust your gut, in high school, I invented a grocery bag holder, right? Just a handle, 2 hooks on it. Bro, I saw that in Food Lion, I think about a month ago. Did some research on it. They sold that for $15 million.
Okay.
See,
I was like, I did this in high school. I would be rich right now if I just kept on, but I don't know. Yeah, so
We
little
gotta make
stuff
those
like that.
ideas shake.
Yeah.
Gotta make those ideas shake.
Yeah. But any ideas, I guess, like dual-sided platforms. So your Ubers, your Airbnbs, like try to tap in that before they took off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but a lot of these companies, they're still struggling to get to profitability as well.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I mean, they'll get there eventually, but I mean, like, you got to think of those businesses that people be slept on that like are still making money overnight, like when you're not even thinking about it. Energy companies, like,
yeah, but that's Rockefeller money though. Like,
hey,
you gotta have a lot of capital to get into that.
Yeah, that's old.
Yeah.
Hey, things I wish I knew.
Yeah, definitely.
Nah, for sure.
So this has been episode 8. Things you wish you knew 5 years ago. Things you wish we'd have told ourselves. How we've grown over the last 5 years. We had a lot of good stuff that we talked about today. So y'all know what to do. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Y'all be great.
All right, stay
Miss
blessed.
y'all. Bye.